It's a historic Premier League rivalry. We can't wait for this one on Super Sunday. Arsenal and Manchester United renew hostilities. Right at the start of the Premier League in 1992-93, it was United who were the dominant force under Sir Alex Ferguson. And here we have got both sides' Premier League finishes since the start of the Premier League. We have got Arsenal, you can follow them in the red. Manchester United are in the black. Now, as we mentioned, United were top of the tree most of the time anyway at the start of the Premier League under Sir Alex Ferguson. But then in 97, 98, someone came along called Arsene Wenger. And that rivalry really became one of the most bitter in the division. United and Arsenal swapping places at the top of the Premier League, first and second. In the mid-2000s, that's when things started to change a little bit. The arrival of someone called Jose Mourinho meant that Arsenal were left behind a little bit, and it was United and Chelsea fighting for things at the top of the table. And then my lines get a bit squiggly, and it's because both sides lost long-serving managers. You might know what happens here to Manchester United. Sir Alex Ferguson leaves, and then a little bit later on here, we've got Arsene Wenger leaving Arsenal. Arsenal have been in a little bit of pain since Arsene Wenger left, but none more than really Manchester United. Ruben Amorim has that league finish down there. But as we head towards 25-26 this season, it's Arsenal at the summit and Manchester United's line is on the rise. How will the season finish? Michael Carrick, we mentioned it earlier, he has an impressive CV, having gone unbeaten against Unai Emery, Thomas Tuchel, Pep Guardiola and Mikel Arteta, and they beat Arsenal at Old Trafford in his first spell as interim in 2021.
Rashford playing it in. There it is. Few, if any, more renowned. None more prolific. Ronaldo hits 800. Never in doubt. Well, in a fixture with such a rich and varied past, that is a worthy addition to the canon. This a night of drama and history. The perfect panacea for Manchester United's recent bout of homesickness. United left in good nick for Rangnick.
And we saw a warm embrace between Bruno Fernandes and Michael Carrick there. And 4 years later, Fernandes is still the heartbeat of the team, still performing at the highest level. Now, this season, we have plotted every player to have created a chance. We have got open play chances created along the X-axis, and in the Y, we have got chances created via set pieces. And this is every player who's created a chance this season. Now, if you're in the top right, you are doing very, very well indeed. Fernandes is up there, way ahead of everybody else. Most chances created from open play and most chances created from set pieces. It's almost like he does this every year. We take it for granted a little bit how good he is. Look where he is, way ahead of everybody else. And if I know people are interested at home, Fernandes obviously tops the list for open play. Second on the list for open play, you'll know him, Jeremy Doku. And second on the list for set plays is for Leeds fans. Anton Stack has created the second most chances from set pieces this season.
That's a great stat. How do you think he's going to get on, Michael Carrick? I mean, he's got off to a flyer, hasn't he? Beating the noisy neighbours.
Oh, I thought it was coming. I was waiting so long to be so quiet about it. I was at the game actually working for City, and obviously Michael I know well, played with him at Spurs. He lives right near me. And for him to get given this opportunity, you know, he was there for some time, wanting to try and progress as a manager, as a young coach. He waited and he did all the hard yards and then went on to Middlesbrough. Didn't really work out. He showed some real good promise there. And recently I played a bit of paddle with him actually, so we can't talk about that game.
No, I just want to know who.
I was injured. I had my knee operation. So I'm making an excuse. So it was like, you know, it's his first time he's found himself, you know, out of a job and out of football.
Yeah.
And it's a strange feeling actually. And he's probably watching Manchester United thinking, so imagine one day if I could, have I lost my chance to be back at Manchester United after not doing so well with Middlesbrough? Should I go back in? Should I have another go? Is it worth staying away from my family for 2 years like he's just done, and then for it to drop in his lap and to get that win? And as he charged down it brings special moments. And what's great there is he's already seen it with the Ronaldo goals and beating Arsenal. But what he'll bring calmness. He's very, however well he does, Michael, he's always very cool and calm. Press conferences won't be as lively. Some of the guys that come to me said, what are we going to do about the press conferences? We want a bit of something. I said he'll be very, very just down the line, very straight. But what he'll do is he'll give them a belief that he can go on and do it. I think he'll be delivering information. I think they've been quite cute with the backroom staff for this short period of time. Is Michael fortunate to get given this role? You would say yes, from you leaving Middlesbrough to then going to be manager of Manchester United. But I think he'll have the utmost respect with the players straight away because the way he'll treat them. And Bruno Fernandes, just looking at those stats. I mean, listen, for all I go and cover Manchester United, he's the one person I've been banging on about for many years now. He does special things, doesn't he? Yeah. Do you know, like when he gets the ball, he'll create a chance, he'll try something. Try and get him on the ball as much as possible.
Yeah, and Terry Henry did some great analysis on Monday Night Football of the breakaway goal from Bumo and how Bruno Fernandes just engineered that move. It was brilliant. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it because it was really good analysis. And actually, Michael Carrick only had a couple of days with that team ahead of the City game. Now, I know City weren't very good in that game, but for not only the game plan to look so good, but for the players to execute it in that short space of time, now he's had a full week. What's the game plan against Arsenal? What do they do against this Arsenal side? Is it similar, sit back and transitions?
Well, I think as well. I think with having Brian and Bremo at the top of the pitch, you could get after them. Not just sit and wait. You could actually go and press and be dynamic and try and get in behind, and the balls and the deliveries will come. And now we can't judge too much now what happens next. Whether we get too carried away, or we say, well, it was a one game. There was always going to get reaction. Manchester City were very poor. They played right into their hands and it could have been a lot worse. But it's now a step up for Manchester United to gain that confidence and belief, and why not? And not to celebrate too much because as a group and as a collective, they've been poor for some time. And I think that's the only danger. They've got to start delivering more as a group, being harder to beat, more dynamic. You talk about Casemiro, out of possession. Manchester United for some time have been really bad.
I want you to ask him next time you play paddle with him, because he's talked about the future and he's kind of dismissed it and said, I'm thinking of the job.
I'm not back yet. He's seen the Manchester United. I'm still waiting. I'm home for the next few weeks. But he's gone now. There's no paddle partners.
Well, you need to get.
I only played once, by the way. But I'm just saying he felt like he was, just sort of having a look at what his future is. And now things change quickly, isn't it? Football.
Well, that's what I'm saying. In terms of the future, if he does well, they'd be foolish, wouldn't they, not to give it him permanently? Or is he not a big enough name? Or have we stepped on from those?
He's a big enough name, right, because of what he's done as a player.
Yeah.
But as a coach, to be Manchester United leader, you have to earn it. And I feel like even in a couple of months, then really it's still not ideal, unless there isn't another option. If Thomas Tuchel comes up and says, right, I'm going to commit to Manchester United for the next 3 years. I'm going to work with the group of the football director, Jason Wilcox, who's going to be very, very much hands-on regards to recruitment. The owner is as well, Omar Barada as well, who will have big control of those decisions. There's sort of three people straight away you're going to have to align, where Thomas Tuchel is going to say, this is how I do it.
Yeah.
Emery will say, this is how I do it at Aston Villa. Are they going to go away from that and allow him to do it, or they're going to try and mould a coach or somebody who's in the system? Then Michael could be that person. But he's got a long way to go. He's going to need not just a real top run of results towards the end of the season to get them into Champions League positions. He's going to have to show so much regards to how he fits into that structure. And then somebody else not necessarily being available, one of these top candidates, which you would expect Manchester United to be targeting.
He's come in and he can look at what he's got in front of him. Will he want reinforcements in this window, do you think?
Well, yeah,
you can get on the phone to him now and ask.
Of course he will. Why would he not? I feel Manchester United as a club, that'll be something they'll be trying to build. And the Wolves, since the ownership changed, that they're already ready to strike. They've already got the list of players, what they need, and ahead of the game much more than they have been. The recruitment over the years have been very slow. They couldn't make decisions. Then they've spent loads of money on people that not necessarily have done so well and wasted it. So we look at other models that have been really slick. They will be trying to get that right now with what they've got behind the scenes, and then wherever they can help Michael, that's going to be a bonus. if you're a player, though, at this moment, top player, are you going to want to pick Manchester United?
Well, that was my next question.
Well, there you go.
Well done
you got
for
another
reading
one
my
now?
mind. No, I want you to answer that one.
Do you know,
Are they still as attractive as they once were?
That is the thing. They're not as attractive.
Okay.
And because of that manager situation, but we can look at Mark Gay. How long's Pep going to be around? Is Arne Slot? You know, is that a situation why you don't change? All these football clubs, Spurs now under pressure. It's almost gone like you're signing for the club rather than you were going for that manager, a Jurgen Klopp. You say, well, I want to play for him for the next 2 or 3 years, and we don't really have a much of that at this moment in time at the top of the Premier League. So Mikel Arteta is one you would say would be a leader for those players if there is a top one, that they'll be coming in to try and take them. But they need maybe a couple more, you would say. If you can do it now, just freshen up. There's nothing better when a player comes in. You know, and you just look, the training lifts, everything about it. The fans get a big lift, and it's going to be interesting
Michael Brown
again.
arrives at club.
Well, Michael Carrick actually arrived at Spurs, and I'm thinking, oh, it's not too bad. Then he got quite good. Then it was Edgar Davids, then it was Jermaine Jenner. I'm like, let's go somewhere else. So it can have a negative effect, let me tell you. But
Yes.
as a player, you sort of go, really. But you've got to have competition. These top football clubs now, you're not at it for one session. You can be replaced very quickly. But Manchester United has been a huge mess, and what is going to be next? And it doesn't stop surprising, does it? Casemiro today. Do we have to do it? You know, when is he going to leave? You know, is it the end of the season? Is that a definite, or will something change sooner rather than later?
I think from United's perspective, they're expecting Casemiro to go at the end of the season. I think that's essentially what's going to happen.
Do you think it's not interesting how it is now, though? Do you know, right in this particular timing?
Well, I mean, from the player's point of view, it allows him to kind of freely go about sorting out his future. I know he's only got a few months left anyway, so he would be able to talk to clubs outside of the Premier League. But I guess it gives him a little bit more leverage to go out and speak to other clubs.
Or
it gives everyone
close by, possibly. Do you know, that might start to come out.
And it just gives everyone a little bit of clarity as well as to what's going to happen. United would like to free up the wage season. They're targeting midfield. I think they're very much engineering their spending towards the summer rather than this transfer window. They're looking at players like Elliot Anderson, like Carlos Baleba, Adam Wharton, those types of players to come in and strengthen that midfield. And they're different kinds of players to Casemiro. So it feels like United are going to be moving in a slightly different direction. And maybe Casemiro was a lightning rod, really, for the mistakes of the past for Manchester United when Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos weren't involved, signing big contracts for players and almost having a contract as a millstone around their neck, carrying that big wage for Casemiro.
But they almost had to do that to get the players to come, because that was the other thing now, and they're still a little bit like that, where they're going to have to pay possibly more than others. And let's be honest, the other clubs are going to drive that up as well, aren't they, with showing interest in these players? Yeah.
I just have to touch on Arsenal. Obviously, that's who they're up against at the weekend. Can you see beyond them for the title, or you did say earlier on, if you missed it, that City are going to come on a gallop.
We were waiting for City's run, weren't we? But I thought he was there. I thought he was closing up, and the pressure was getting there. Looked like Arsenal were all the way. Then it come really close. Now it's gone back favourites for Arsenal, and they've got to come to the Etihad. But pressure will mount. It will increase. But they're in a good position. I think the squad depth's fantastic. Mikel Arteta at the start of the season was getting criticised, which I found was quite amazing. Former players also were doing that, saying he must go if he doesn't deliver. And I asked the question about that, and they said, well, ultimately, some of the players that they've had are winners. You do not win, you are replaced. And that's fair enough at some point. But I don't think it's as simple as it when you look at the competition around. And I think they're in a good position. I think they're going well. I like the style of play. It's a bit fiery at times with Arteta. Desperation to go and deliver and win.
You like fiery, don't you? It's part of your DNA.
We've got to be DNA. You've got to have a good battle along the way. But you know, Arsenal fans, what will be next if they don't do it? I think that is the main concern because of what we live with today. It's all theirs now. You know, Man City, you're going to have to find them a really, really top run. Put the pressure back on. You know, if it was sort of neck and neck, you're sort of going, Arsenal are going to wobble. City are going to take it. They need to keep that gap where they're quite comfortable. And they've got that at this moment of time. And Aston Villa, just as they looked like they were going to do something. I was at the game at weekend and they just couldn't get in the stride. And it was sort of a well-earned away performance from Everton. So, it's all pointing, isn't it, to North London and not the side that I possibly know, the other side in Arsenal.
Yes. Just finally on Arsenal then, Gyökeres, is he convincing you at the moment or not? Who would
Not
you
yet.
start up front?
No,
Okay.
not yet. I think he certainly contributes. He sets the press off at the front, dynamic runs, but delivery of goals. I don't think anybody will care, will they, at the end of the season if Arsenal are Premier League champions, look at them in the Champions League also as well. But really, we're looking to sort of make them an elite team to make sure that they win it for some years. You wouldn't say he would be that person. Is he contributing in such a big way? Yes. But it's just the next step to guarantee it would be someone who would deliver more goals. Can he get more? Would be the next question.
Okay, needs to step up his game potentially.
Arsenal have confirmed a top 2 finish in the Champions League thanks to their 7th straight win in the competition. They beat Inter Milan 3-1 at the San Siro. After the game, Mikel Arteta praised the incredible depth of the squad and the quality in the squad. But is it the best in Europe? We're asking you that, Leanne, because he made 7 changes to his starting 11, still won away at Inter Milan. Certainly not a bad side. So is it the best squad in Europe?
Oh, that's a difficult one, Tom, because you look at teams like Bayern Munich. But right now, I mean, it will be the best squad in Europe if they go on to win the Premier League and, you know, they continue to win other stuff. But I think this Arsenal side this year, they do look different. I know they had the result against Liverpool when they should have won. It was 0-0 at the Emirates. Obviously, the game against Forest at the weekend, and it all feels a little bit shaky. But, like, this is the year for me. It's now or never for Mikel Arteta with this Arsenal squad. Like, the fact that Declan Rice, you can rest him against a team like last night and they still perform well. Timber has been sensational this year. And they've had injuries, haven't they? Mascherano's come back into the lineup. He was injured. Nketiah has been injured. They've had Saliba and Gabriel injured. Odegaard was on the bench last night.
No strikers at one point.
Exactly. Kai Havertz, though, I think Mikel Arteta would favour Kai Havertz if he was fully fit in that number 9 spot. I love Mikel Moreno. I think he's done an unbelievable job when he's come into the team. Norgard can't even get a look in. You know, he started against Portsmouth in the FA Cup the other week at centre-back, and he's a top player. So we talk about squad depth that they have. It is an array of talent. And fair play to Mikel Arteta, because I've sat on this show many, many times over the years and said, like, at what point do you start to question him? Because, you know, every year, oh, we're getting closer, but you haven't won it. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like if they don't do it this year, there's something seriously wrong. And I think, you know, I know a lot of people are reluctant to say they're going to do it, but for me, they're going to do it, Tom. They have to. Like, there's no denying.
I think people are certainly starting to come round to that way of thinking. Gabriel Jesus scored twice. He started last night. Gyökeres came off the bench and scored. So if that was their only issue this season, that seems to now be going out the way. But who starts against Manchester United? Jesus, Gyökeres?
As a Man United fan, do you want me to answer this question, or as a pundit? I'll answer it as a pundit.
Both.
I think when I look at Gyökeres, I've given him quite a lot of stick because I just don't see a player in there. But what I saw last night, right, the goal that he scored, I saw a change of pace, Tom. He made a really attacking run, right? And I haven't seen that type of change of pace. You can see his teammates really wanting to succeed. You know, when he scores and you can see how happy they are for him. Quality-wise, I genuinely think if Kai Havertz is fit and healthy, which it doesn't seem like he is yet, because he's been on the bench a number of times and hasn't come in, I think Mikel Arteta is playing Kai Havertz. I think at the weekend, I think he'll start with Gyökeres because it seems like that is his man at this moment in time. Gabriel Jesus, you know, before his injury, wasn't scoring a lot of goals, but he offers a lot. He works hard. You know what I mean? But ultimately, as a forward, you're going to be judged by putting the ball in the back of the net. I think Gyökeres, last night, that goal he scored, that could be a massive turning point for me because, you know, yes, he got a goal and assist in the previous game against Chelsea. People can say it's a tap-in, a goal's a goal. But the assist for me for Zubimendi against Chelsea is what he's there for, Tom. You know, occupying the 2 centre-backs, staying in between them, that's happy days for the centre-backs. But when Jesus is playing or when Moreno or Kai Havertz is in that role, they're stretching the line. And that's what Arsenal need. People talk about service, you know, with the players like Saka. Jamie Redknapp made a really good point on Monday Night Football the other week about the inverted wingers and them coming in. And there's this whole thing about, you know, him being annoyed at Saka for not putting the ball in the back of the net. I don't think it's personal. I've been there myself when you're thinking, just give me the ball. You know, give me the service and I'll put it in the back of the net. So Gyökeres has to make his own, make the runs as well. And I think last night, he looked decent.
Well, the poll at the moment is who should start up front for Arsenal against Manchester United. 60% say Jesus, 29% say Gyökeres, 7% say Havertz, and 4% say Mikel Merino. But yeah, 60% at the moment of the people voting on that poll say Gabriel Jesus, who did score to last night. Let's speak to Arsenal fan Scarlett Katz-Roberts now. Hi, Scarlett. I mean, you're 7 points clear at the top of the Premier League, as you know. 7 wins from 7 games in the Champions League. So, do you have the best squad in the world right now?
Well, it would seem that way, wouldn't it? I think squad-wise, we've been able to, much better than previously, put key players on ice when possible. Obviously, Saka didn't start on the weekend and we didn't go on and get the result, but he was right at it last night, and he's definitely been a victim of an over-reliance on key players in the past. So what's clear about this squad at the moment is the gap between the A team and the B team is smaller than it's ever been. And I think as an Arsenal fan, I used to feel aggrieved, like it was unfair when we missed out on the title because we picked up a lot of injuries. But now I think I realise what's different about this Arsenal side is there's more of us. There's more good players. So, yeah, I think we have got the best squad in Europe at the moment, but the proof will be in the pudding, won't it?
Who would you start up front against Manchester United?
I would be surprised if Jesus started up front after playing 70-odd minutes last night. I actually would have gone for Havertz if he'd played any minutes last night, but that's not the question you're asking me. I think who I would want is Jesus, because I think he's simply a better footballer than Gyökeres, but who I think it will be, as Leanne said previously, is Gyökeres.
In the match coverage last night, if you noticed, this quite interesting, this Theo Walcott asked Wayne Rooney who would win out of this Arsenal team right now or the 2008 Manchester United team who won the Premier League and the Champions League. Now, Wayne Rooney said we'd batter them. Now, we will be able to show the Manchester United team that won that Champions League final, by the way. That's the one that we've gone with. But what do you think?
I was going to say, I've enjoyed Wayne Rooney's punditry and actually really come round to him as a man in recent years. Obviously, as a player in 2008, I didn't enjoy him. So, yeah,
why was that? Should we remind everyone?
But yeah, I mean, those comparisons are so difficult, aren't they? Because football's changed so much. Obviously, I think that United side probably had more stars than this Arsenal side do, but that's because they'd already won trophies. I think our defence could lock up Rooney, Ronaldo, Tevez, no problem, and then we just leave it to set players to do the rest. I will point out that Arsenal's 2008 side, which definitely was worse than this current Arsenal side, beat United 2-1 at home. So I think we've got a decent chance.
Yeah, you made a good argument there. What do you think, Leanne?
No, I'm going Man United all the way. I agree with Wayne Rooney. I mean, look at that front line. It actually makes me feel quite emotional looking at that team, of how far we've fallen from grace, to be honest. And this weekend, Scarlett, I'm not going to lie, I'm quite worried. I know Man United just beat City at the weekend, but this Arsenal game is the one, you know, I've been focused on. I wanted to ask you about Miles Lewis-Skelly getting the start last night, because I've loved him, right? Loved him last year. But we see Calafiori come into the lineup this year. He's now injured. And then there was even at times, you know, he wasn't putting Lewis-Skelly in there. What do you make of that decision from Mikel Arteta?
I think I understand it as somebody who watches Arsenal every week. I think Miles just, I don't know if it's that he's been worked out a bit by other teams. He's obviously super strong in like his upper body, but I don't think he's particularly pacey. So I think people know he's not the tallest left back in the world. You know, knock it over his head and get him running back towards his own goal. He's not got that recovery pace very well. So I think it's a bit of, you know, he's now had a season where clubs have had a chance to have a look at him. They probably understand his weaknesses a bit more. Also, you know, I feel his long-term future is in midfield, because what does he do really well? He carries the ball under pressure and he plays the ball. He's played a beautiful slip pass into Trossard in the Champions League semi-final last year. And I think he's got the character to go really far.
Just to interrupt you there, Scarlett, I saw him play in pre-season at the Emirates last year in that position. I know he's played there in the academy as well. And that's a great shout, because he's a baller in that position for sure.
Yeah, and that's where he was playing for the majority of his time in the academy. And I think that's what he's really built for. Also, I think buying Hincapié over the summer, to me, was raising my eyebrows about what Miles' long-term future was in the squad, because that's two very, very high-quality players who can play at left-back. And the truth is, we are better when it's Hincapié and Calafiori in that position than when Miles is there. We are more vulnerable when Miles is there.
Just to end this one, give me a percentage of how confident you now are that you're going to win the Premier League.
Do you want the real percentage or do you want the fan percentage?
I want you to, with your head rather than heart, give us a percentage.
My head thinks we've got a pretty good chance. 70%.
70%.
Why are Arsenal fans so reluctant to say they're going to win the league?
There's Manchester City fans.
It's mad.
Man City fans all season have said we're going to win the league. Arsenal fans have gone, oh, well, you know, playing it down.
But City, the way they've been performing of late, that's what's made me realise even more. I've been saying it for a few months now. I feel like Arsenal were going to win the league. So I'm going to continue to say it. And hopefully the fans will jump on board.
Yeah. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
I think after the last few weeks for Manchester City, I think you are now getting a lot more people who are saying, I think it is going to be Arsenal, whereas there were a lot of doubters, as you well know. OK, Scarlett, thank you very much.
Thanks, Scarlett.
Thank you very much, guys.
So on the way next, we'll get Leanne's thoughts on the managerial situation at Manchester United and find out who she wants to be the next permanent head coach. From Tottenham to Arsenal, who are in 7th heaven right now, 7 clear at the top of the Premier League and 7 wins from 7 in the Champions League. Gabriel Jesus scored twice. Victor Gyökeres came on and got a goal as well, as Arsenal beat Inter Milan 3-1 away from home.
This is great. We've been missing Gavi a lot. I think he's going to raise his confidence level, the teams, because we have now different profiles in that position, like we have with the wingers in other positions, and the fact that that those players are playing at that level. Victor comes in, had a great impact as well in the game. It's only make us better, and that's what we're seeking for.
When you rotate your strikers, is that the perfect outcome, that one scores and the other one comes off the bench and does the same?
If I have to write it, probably that would be it. So very happy with that.
Yeah, it certainly went well for Arsenal last night in terms of their strikers and their victory as well. With Victor Gyökeres, he has come in for a lot of criticism this season. What have you made of that? Yes, it was a big price tag. We're only just over halfway through the season, his first season.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I did a show of you a couple of months ago where Wayne Rooney said, when we were discussing, Wayne Rooney said he was a top 3 in the Premier League at this moment in time. And I don't know, like, I respect Wazza, he's top man, but like, I look at Gyökeres and sometimes it takes longer for players to adjust. But the concern for me is that he doesn't do enough. I think when you watch the games live, the movement is just, it's very pedestrian, it's very static. What I saw last night against Inter, he looked more dynamic. I spoke about the run earlier on in the show for the goal that he actually scored where the ball fell to him from Saka. But like, he needs to have that explosiveness in the Premier League. You cannot be slow and get to those levels in the Prem. You just can't. The days are gone where you sit in front of the player and you're occupying no space in between the lines. Do you know what I mean? So I think, like, at the weekend, I think if Kai Havertz was fit and healthy, I think he's going with Kai Havertz in that position. But then isn't it amazing that Arsenal fans and people, there was this main thing around Arsenal wasn't winning the Premier League because they didn't have a number 9. Now they've got him through the door and everyone's now saying bring in Jesus. But Jesus was there before and he wasn't scoring. But if I'm choosing between these two for the weekend, I'm going with Jesus because I don't think Havertz is fit yet. Although he's in the squad, it doesn't seem like he's ready because I just think Jesus offers a little bit more. You know, he's mobile, he's moving around, he's running the channels, he's making himself busy. Whereas Gyökeres, for me, I don't think he does enough. But his goal last night, fantastic. And that might be, you know, the type of confidence that he needs. I don't think the goal against Chelsea is going to do anything for him, to be honest. You know, a goal's a goal.
The message there at the bottom of the screen from Dave says that actually play Jesus, Gyökeres and Saka as kind of a front three. So assuming they're saying to put Jesus left wing.
Mikel Arteta's not going to do that. That's not a bad shout, to be honest, but I can't see Mikel Arteta doing that at all. And to be fair, like, Bukayo Saka this year, I love Bukayo Saka, but he hasn't been great. You know, maybe he looks over like he's played a lot of games, so it's good they're able to rest him because there was a moment in time at Arsenal where they weren't able to rest players, Tom, was they? You know, do you remember when they were going through that bad run? And I remember it was solely responsible for Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka to kind of carry the team. Look how far Arsenal have come from there. Declan Rice, Zubimendi, I love Declan Rice and Zubimendi. Odegaard also hasn't even been performing to the levels that they know he can either. So it'll be interesting to see team selection because a lot of people are calling for Norgard to play. But it's a good problem for Mikel Arteta to have because when Pep Guardiola and City were winning the treble and winning trophies, they had 2-3 players in every position, didn't they? Arsenal, I think, have that luxury now where they were always one injury away from losing the league. Look what's happened now. They lost Declan Rice for a couple of games. They won the games that he was unavailable for. Do I think they could sustain that throughout the season? No, because I think, for me, I genuinely think Declan Rice has been the best player in the Premier League this season. I think he has been unbelievable. Like, what a player he is. But the fact they were able to still continue to push when players like Saliba got injured, when Gabriel got injured, when Declan Rice was injured, shows me that Arsenal have turned the corner this year. Because last year, do you remember when people were getting injured? That was it. It was like, oh, the title race is done.
Well, can Liverpool turn a corner? We're going to be talking about them next. They face Marseille in the Champions League tonight. But should Mohamed Salah go straight back into the starting lineup?